What did the Founding Fathers eat on their first celebration of the 4th of July? I'm Chef Bernstein. I'm putting together a menu that I think would or could have been enjoyed by Thom, John, and Ben, and the rest of the Declaration signers. Join me today on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Taste Buds, happy Independence Day and welcome to SoFlo Taste here in the Goya Kitchen at J.A. World in Coconut Creek. I didn't dress the part today of a freedom-fighting colonial. I wouldn't wear a long dress with petticoats or breeches. I wouldn't wear an apron or a cravat, and I sure wouldn't be standing here in front of you wearing the underwear of 1776. Today I thought it would be fun to make you some of what just might have been on the Founding Fathers dinner table after a tough day of signing the Declaration of Independence. So let's get cooking. One of my favorite historians and presidents is George Washington. And of course, we all know the story, yet we don't really know if it's true, of him cutting down the cherry tree. So why not use some cherries? Also, I bet you didn't know that one of his favorite recipes was hoe cakes. Supposedly, he ate hoe cakes with cherry sauce. So, what is a hoe cake? Well, a hoe cake is basically a pancake, but with cornmeal. It's obviously has roots of Native Americans because of the corn. It's eaten a lot in Virginia. They eat it a lot in the South, and supposedly it was a favorite of our old president, George Washington. Let's start with the sauce, and then we'll jump into the hoe cake. So we've got some fresh cherries here. They're all cut in half, and of course, they've been pitted. We'll put that into a pot. I'll add some sugar, but not too much because I'm also adding a little cherry marmalade to help out. Some fresh squeezed lemon to balance out the flavors. All right, I bought my favorite cherry marmalade because I think that that's going to help this also. It obviously has a thickener, probably like a cornstarch in it or an arrowroot. And rather than adding that to it, I just would rather add a little cherry marmalade. So I'm just going to start heating that up somewhat gently. I love serving pancakes with warm sauce, so this cherry sauce will be warm. But if you'd rather it a little bit thicker and cooler, you can make it and then cool it. Let's jump right into the hoe cake. All right, we have cornmeal and AP flour. For liquids, we've got 2 eggs, buttermilk, some water, and a little bit of sugar. Let's go ahead and whisk this up together. Okay, here we're going to add a little baking powder and a little salt. We want our hoe cakes to rise. Let's go ahead and combine that together. Now, traditionally, hoe cakes are cooked in oil, not in butter. It's really up to you what you want to cook them in. Obviously, butter is delicious, but I'm going to do it a little more traditionally today and use an unflavored oil like I think this is probably canola. All right, let's go ahead and add the wet ingredients into the dry and bring them together. Combine with a rubber spatula. I like this more than I like a whisk. I don't want to over whip the batter. Just like any pancake batter, you don't want to overwork it. Let's go ahead and start heating our pan. I'm using cast iron. I have a funny feeling that's what our Founding Fathers used, so that's what I decided to use today. A little bit of oil. Let's get that a little bit hot, but not, we don't want to burn it. Okay, our batter looks good. Our cherry sauce is coming together. Let's go ahead and mix that up a little bit. It's already starting to look really pretty. like. I'm just gonna give you a peek in there. You see all the big, beautiful cherries, the fresh ones, and of course you see the marmalade as well. I'm actually gonna add a pinch of sea salt in there. I always think that adding salt to things like this just kind of makes everything burst. All those flavors come out. All right, so you can measure the amount of hoe cake that you add into the pan by using an ice cream scooper. It works really well. There's a couple different ways to do this. Back when I owned Mishy's, a more upscale restaurant, we used to actually serve hoe cakes with foie gras, which is kind of cool because ducks eat corn and the whole thing kind of went together. And I actually formed the hoe cake in a little cutter, a pastry cutter, so they were perfectly round and a little bit more deep. But today I decided to form them a little bit more like a natural pancake would be. Yeah, I think these are actually going to be a perfect size. So this is the traditional size of an ice cream scooper. All right, and now all we have to do is wait, and not very long. So hurry up, come right back, there's a ton more, and of course we have to see how delicious these hoe cakes came out. So see you in a minute. For more information on today's show, or to see a previous episode, or just to ask me a question, please go to our website, SoFloTaste.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything SoFlo Taste.
Come back to the Goya Kitchen at J.A. World, Michelle, and the food. This is SoFlo Taste.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste, and of course, our nod to our founding fathers. Look how beautiful this hoe cake is, and it's got the cherry sauce nice and warm. If you want it thicker, like I said, just let it cool. All right, let me set that over here because the next recipe needs a little room. So this next recipe is dedicated to Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin loved turkey. They say he loved turkey so much, he actually wanted it to represent our country and be our nation's bird instead of the bald eagle. I don't know how that would have turned out. But I thought, to be fun, you know, why not make turkey legs? And I found this beautiful recipe in the New York Times, and I thought it would just be so appropriate. Just so you know, Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market have, of course, all kinds of chicken legs and turkey legs, but they have so much more, and it's still time to place your order for the 4th of July celebrations. So instead of this turkey legs, you can also just grill up some Black Angus ribeyes, some New York strips. Of course, they have great ground beef. Make some burgers, brisket burgers, oh my God. Of course, gourmet turkey burgers and chicken. They are at 4191 State Road 7 in Hollywood. Call them at 954-983-6831. Or, of course, you can place an order at DelawareChicken.com. Make sure you tell them I sent you. Send them my love. All right, so for these turkey legs, we're going to combine a few ingredients in a pan and let it just come to a simmer. We've got tamari or soy sauce, some sliced scallions, some just smashed up, not even chopped, garlic cloves, a little bit of ginger that's been grated on a microplane, some honey, which I'll need some help spooning out, okay, my favorite part, whole star anise, some dry sherry. Now, I like to use a lot of Spanish sherries, which I like to sip on at home with a little bit of ice and a squeeze of orange, but I also cook with it, and I cook quite a bit with it. I don't like to buy cooking sherry or cooking wine. They add a lot of sodium to them, and they're never as good. And it's a lot more fun, by the way, to cook with things that you will drink. just like Julia Child always said, she would never make a recipe with anything she wouldn't drink herself. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this. And I'm going to bring this to a boil. These gorgeous turkey legs just get seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then this mixture will come down and reduce a little bit, and then you whisk in oil. That is peanut oil, which I highly recommend. If you don't or can't eat peanut oil, you can use any kind of vegetable oil. It's perfectly fine. Then you separate that marinade into two, because one you're going to use for basting the turkey as it cooks, and the other one you're going to serve next to it. So this is the basting and marinade. So all you have to do is take some of this and brush it all over these turkey legs. And it smells so yummy. And keep those little pieces of star anise on top if you can, because they look so pretty. You might not want to bite into them, but they do taste delicious, especially as a marinade. All right, you can let this sit for a good half an hour to an hour. I always love things to come to temperature before we roast them. So once you put that into the oven, let me show you what they look like, because we've been making some ourselves here. And here they are. As you can see, they get a lot of beautiful color thanks to the marinade. So let's go ahead and put these on the plate. And I've been basting these little by little. I can tell you one thing. They're definitely better than the ones you get at that amusement park that a lot of us go to. I'm not going to say which one. A lot of people love those turkey legs. Well, if you like those, you are going to go crazy over these. Just beautiful. All right, so let's take a little bit of that sauce. We have extra, of course, we set some aside. And what I would do is serve this at the table and just spoon a little bit of this delicious marinade right over them when it's time to eat. Yum. Well, more of my recipes for the first 4th of July celebration after the break, so come right back.
Hi, I'm design expert Elena Capra. Michelle will be right back. And don't forget, stay tuned for another episode of SoFlo Home Project following SoFlo Taste.
Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste as I give you recipes for your 4th of July. As I always am, I'm here at this wonderful world of junior achievement here in Coconut Creek, a great place dedicated to our kids. For more information, go to jasouthflorida.org or call 954-979-7100. And now back to SoFlo Taste and what just might have been served to commemorate the first 4th of July celebration. So let's talk a little bit about TJ, Thomas Jefferson. He liked the finer things. Boy, did he ever. He also grew lots and lots of vegetables and loved them all. However, they say some of his favorite things were fancy things. For example, oysters. So, you know, I spoke about my friends at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. They also sell oysters, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is because they actually shucked them for us today. So I want to thank them. I love you guys. Thank you for shucking these. You can always have them shucked for you. And so what we're going to do is a dish that I think Thomas Jefferson might have loved, and they are broiled oysters. So let's make the filling for them. Here I've got some butter that has just come to room temperature, and we've just kind of softened it and made sure that it was really nice soft for a good base. We're gonna add some nice tiny minced shallot, garlic, some grated Parmesan cheese, some chopped parsley, a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and then I think this needs a really good amount of salt and pepper. So these are East Coast oysters. I personally would not broil West Coast oysters. They're, first of all, probably too tasty. They have a melon finish and they just don't go with the topping as much as a briny East Coast oyster would. They're also a lot more expensive. East Coast oysters will probably run you about almost half as much as a West Coast oyster. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine. Make sure this is really, really well mixed up before you use it. And what I would do is taste it, because if the butter tastes good, we know that the oyster is going to taste good. I would actually taste both, to be honest with you. And the best way to know if an oyster is good is by smelling it. And what should it smell like? I'm going to give you one guess.
The ocean.
The ocean. Always smell things that come from the ocean. And if they smell like the ocean, you know that they are delicious. If they smell like the animal, maybe not so much. All right, so the ocean smells salty and briny. That's about it. All right, so this tastes already delicious to me. So I'm gonna stop there. So let's take a spoonful of that filling and top each oyster with it. I've taken a little bit of rock salt, and you can find rock salt in any supermarket. And I love using rock salt as a bed to any shell fish, like an oyster or a clam, that I'm going to put in the oven. It holds them steady, because if not, they're kind of wobbling and they never really hit the broiler the way they need to. So a nice amount of butter goes on each oyster. And by the way, the same technique is used for Rockefeller, where these are not Rockefeller, but I do use rock salt, and I put about this much of that filling on top of every oyster as well. Actually, Rockefeller is the first type of oyster recipe I ever tasted. I didn't do too well. For some reason, I just couldn't get it down. Oh, my poor mother. She tried. Okay, make sure well coated. We'll keep on going. All right, I don't want to bore you, so let me just tell you what I'm going to do next. After I finish all of these, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan that I have left over the top of each one. And then I'm going right into the broiler. So I don't have a broiler in my oven, so I brought up my beautiful trusty toaster oven. So I'm going to broil under there. So come right back. To get a taste of what we made on today's show, at least two-dimensionally, go to SoFloTaste.com. It's the be-all, end-all of SoFlo Taste. Welcome back to our 4th of July SoFlo Taste Show, and of course our founding fathers and what they like to eat. So we have some oysters, beautiful oysters, broiling. I think it's time. Yes. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. I am so excited. For those of you, for those of you that love oysters as much as I do, I very highly suggest you try this recipe. So these smell deliciously of garlic and onion, which is the shallot, and of course the butter and the oyster. It smells a little oceany, salty and briny, which is probably one of my favorite flavors. I think Thomas Jefferson would have been extremely happy with a plate full of these beautiful oysters. And here we go. one left for me. All right, let's garnish with some lemon. And there we have it. Delicious. Well, thank you, taste buds, for coming to my vision of what might have been eaten after continental congressing. Hopefully, I've spun them into something you would have at your 4th of July celebration. I don't know about your home, but ours is a bit less hectic during these summer months. So next week, I'll be giving you recipes for more leisurely breakfast. Join me next week as this leisurely breakfast hour for SoFlo Taste. And now let's say good morning to design expert Elena Capra, host of SoFlo Home Project. Good morning, Elena. What's up next on SoFlo Home Project?
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So today we're tackling maintenance for the home appliances that will require a little elbow grease. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we share practical tips that will help maintain the life of your home appliances and keep them running for a long time.
Well, thanks, Elena. We'll be sure to stay tuned. So, my taste buds, please be smart, be safe, and be vaccinated. And stay where you are for SoFlo Home Project with Elena. I'll see you next week. Goodbye and good taste. Happy 4th.